in order to effectively destabilize, dismantle Moorish outposts or regencies throughout Europe and in the Americas, conclusively, connectively, and not just in Europe as most people think. And the so-called Crusades or the Inquisition did not officially end until 33 years after George Washington's death.
Wow. And for the sake of the audience, I must tell you that the book, The U.S. Nigger Industry, the very flow of it, and you'll find that the information is like a meal that you are eating, and you can taste a little of this and taste a little of that, and then it just flows through your system. And the same thing with the way that Taj has laid out this book here. And I want to go to the very next question, because there's a word in the book, and that's the first time I ever seen the word. It's called draconian. And I'm like, is that Dracula? And my question to you, Taj, is you refer to the U.S., U.S. or the Union State Society's practice as draconian.
Yes.
What do you mean by draconian?
That means very, very low, or lowest state of human interchange. That means like the opposite of humane. What humane is in the positive spirit, draconian is the opposite, 180.
Wow. Did y'all get that? That's interesting. I guess the flow as we go to the next question, Taj. I know the word dissimulation, Durali uses in Circle 7. I think it may even be a mean thing, as Durali says, the meanness of dissimulation. When we look at the mental dissimulation, as you refer to in the book, this is a very strong terminology. Are you saying by using this term, referencing it to people, that they actually fake normality, but deep down in their heart, they know that they are not normal?
Exactly. In other words, dissimulation is also a term used in psychology, whereas a person has injury, or that's the supreme level of functional and conscious denial. For instance, like upon a challenge, like if you tell some people about the truth about their nationality and birthright, they will start giving you their religious beliefs, etc., and they'll start fighting you. But deep in their heart, they know that you're right, but they don't want to deal with it because it represents responsibility, and they have to change what they've been doing. That's dissimulation.
And it's a mean thing.
It's a mean thing, but it's a cooperative thing too. That means slavery, connotatively, is a cooperative state. It's not one-sided.
And there's something interesting that you say that, because you said something here when you were here last, and you called, well, not the time before last, because you was here, you and I and Rod, but you mentioned very highly polished hypocrites. And dissimulation seems to flow with that.
It is part of
and to go back to what Durali says in the Circle 7, where he talks about the art of hypocrisy.
Yes.
So it's actually an art, would you agree?
Yes, exactly correct. That's dissimulation. In other words, that's simply naming it rather than just vaguely speaking of it. That's for those who rule, those who govern, those who administer, as well as those who do not, that you're quite aware of exactly they're using it, so that they can't BS you and start talking about this opinion.
So what does this fit where Durali speaks about are not the enemies made by truth better than the friends obtained by flattery? Does that fall right within that?
Exactly, that's dissimulation too. When you examine the dynamics of what Noble Durali is saying, what he's actually saying that, in fact, the beings in their heart already know truth. It has a ring to it. When they choose not to deal with it, it's because they fear Goliath, and they call him their God, while they claim a God outside themselves and distract your attention, make you think that they're worshiping Allah, etc., when actually they're worshiping the European. That's also dissimulation, and that's also that hypocrisy.
Wow.
Because they already know. You can ask the average child, is your name Williams? And if you quiz them and talk about the politics in North America, they will, even a child usually knows that those names were passed down from European families. So if one already is aware of that, one knows that that is not who you are. Isn't that polished?
That's interesting.
Then they start saying that was my grandmother's name when they know it's not. And can a woman enslaved give her child a free national name when she herself has none?
Very interesting. And that just leads into this U.S. corporation or
exactly correct.
Or the Union State Society. That the next question follows: is the democracy that they talk about here play a role? Does it play a role in people in terms of their painting and suppressing their true feelings, more or less hiding and faking normality? Does democracy have anything to do with all of that?
You will not find the word democracy in the Declaration of Independence. You will not find it in the Constitution for the United States of North America, Republic. And Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution declares a Republican form of government for all states in the Union. Also, in the 13 articles, or the 18 sections, the 20 sections, pardon me, of Article 13, dealing with the repatriation of the Moors on the land, it would also declare that upon the establishment of a Republican form of government, the people are recognized. So therefore, the demo, democracy, means that's what it means, demo. And you trace demo goes back to ancient Greek. And of course, you know, that's when they began stealing the legacy. And that's what democracy is, it's mob rule.
Interesting. Moving further into your book, you mentioned false culture. What is it? And how did we get it? How did we get this false culture?
Well, false culture is also known as dead culture. When you go back into the history and you study, how did we get to where we are today? And that's why, in order to really understand Moorish history, you must also go into European history. When you go into European history, you will see the bull. Now, when you deal with an edict, it was usually at that particular time called a bull, B-U-L-L. That's the same as a solid political edict as coming from the supreme authority. Just like if you have a proclamation coming from the executive branch of government, i.e. now today, that's what an edict would be from the church. The church itself is a political order. And the edict was that Moors would no longer be known as Moors, but would be known as Spaniards. This is how Moorish Latin came to be known as Spanish, and how certain Moors in different territories became known as Spanish. Spanish is a fiction. If you hear the word Spanish, like you see the Spanish-American War, that's the Moorish-American War. The Spanish fleet is the Moorish fleet. And that's how you know your history on this side. When they talk about Spain or the territories, the Louisiana Purchase, etc., that's Spain. That's Moorish territories. But it was actually the whole land.
Is it the latest term that is being used is Hispanic? Does that tie?
Hispanic, just like it. Hispanic is a name that was given to Cuba, which is also Moorish dominion. And all across Cuba, you will find Moorish forts that people come around the world and visit, still with the cannons there right today. And they're called Moros. So Isabella is also Cuba. When you talk about Isabella, Queen Isabella, King Ferdinand, and you start thinking Spain in Europe, it's Cuba.
Now, you have in the book so many excerpts. You have various areas of the book, for instance, that deals with the organic origin of black, Negro, as well as the biological and geographical.
Yes.
You also have excerpts dealing with birthrights and conscious Moors.
Yes.
You also have political applications on Negro, black, and colored, denotation, connotation. You talk about social, political, and applications on Negro, black, and colored. Also, the substitution of the Nigger brand.
Yes.
There is much more leading up to the center, which is Darwinism. You speak about the missing link, amalgamation, idol god worship, fiat currency, etc.
Yes.
Todd, can you take a few minutes, if you will, and discuss with us and take a few of those subject matters and speak about them. One particularly that, if you will, the denotation and connotation of Negro, black, and colored.
Denotation, one of the things that is key, and I want to make this mention of this. Prior to colonization, Libra or libraries were common parts of the culture. Asiatic culture. In other words, it is common as you go to the refrigerator today.
Is that why you had the burning of the library?
That's exactly. That's why you have to know the history,
Mm-hmm.
and so that we don't get caught up